The first time I saw the blind alien girl slam into a wall, the entire station laughed. And something inside me broke in a way I didn't yet understand. She had been running. Not running away from anyone. Not chasing anything. Just running, arms outstretched, fingers trembling, trusting a world that refused to meet her halfway. The sound of the impact echoed through Corridor 9 like a dull bell. Bone against alloy. A sharp intake of breath. Then silence. For a heartbeat, no one spoke. Then the
Mission
laughter
parameters
came.
are locked.
It
We
rolled
launch in
across the
T-minus
observation
60
deck in
seconds.
waves.
I expect
Security
precision and
officers,
speed from
traders,
everyone. Move out.
off-world diplomats, even a few humans. Amused. Detached. Cruel in the way only bored immortality can be cruel. Someone leashed the defective, a Kepri merchant sneered. Didn't they decommission her species yet? Another voice added. I stood frozen near the maintenance hatch, grease still on my hands, my tool belt hanging heavy at my waist. I told myself to look away. Everyone else did eventually. But she didn't cry. She pushed herself up slowly, her movements careful, deliberate, as if the floor itself might betray her again. Her eyes, large, opalescent, useless, stared into nothing. And still she smiled. That was when I knew this station was more broken than anything I'd ever been hired to fix. But that was only the beginning. The girl's name was Thera, though I didn't learn it until much later. On the registry she was listed as Cargo Unit 7B, visually defective, property of the Varelian Dominion. The Dominion called her a cultural remnant, which was a polite way of saying her people had outlived their usefulness. The Varelians were beautiful in a terrifying way. Tall, crystalline-skinned beings whose eyes refracted light like prisms. They saw in spectrums humans didn't even have names for. Vision wasn't just a sense to them. It was their religion. And Sayare had been born blind. Among the Varelians, blindness wasn't a disability. It was a crime. I worked on Station Helios as a systems mechanic. Human, unaugmented, forgettable. I fixed doors that didn't slide, lights that flickered, air recyclers that wheezed like old men. I was invisible and I liked it that way. Sayare was impossible to ignore. Every day, I saw her guided, shoved, through the corridors by handlers who barely touched her. They let her collide with tables, door frames, other beings. It was easier than slowing down. Sometimes she hummed while she walked. Soft, melodic tones that vibrated through the metal beneath my boots. Varelian sound communication. Someone once told me. She was mapping the world with echoes, like a living sonar. They mocked her for that too. But what I saw next changed everything. One cycle, the station went into partial lockdown. A diplomatic summit had arrived. High-tier species, heavy security. Non-essential personnel were ordered to stay clear of the atrium. I was rerouting a power conduit near the restricted wing when I heard a familiar sound. A soft hum. Then a sharp cry. Sayare had wandered into the security perimeter. Energy barriers flared to life around her. Invisible walls snapping shut with lethal precision. She staggered, confused, hands brushing against nothing. A security drone descended, weapon systems warming. Unauthorized entity detected, it intoned. Remain stationary. She didn't understand the language. She took a step forward. The drone's core glowed. I didn't think. I moved. I slammed my access chip against the emergency override panel and threw myself between her and the drone. The barrier seared my skin, pain like fire ants under my flesh. Stand down, I shouted. She's not hostile. The drone paused, processing. Security arrived seconds later. Weapons raised. Orders barked. I expected to be dragged away. Instead, something unprecedented happened. Ver reached out and touched my face. Her fingers brushed my eyes. And she gasped. Not in fear. In wonder. I see noise, she whispered in broken trade common. So loud. So bright. The handlers pulled her back roughly. One of them struck her across the face. Rage flared hot and sudden in my chest. That was the moment I chose a side. But I didn't yet understand the cost. They summoned me 2 cycles later. The Varelian overseer awaited in a chamber of refracted light. His many-faceted eyes fixed on me with surgical interest. He spoke softly, as predators do. You interfered with Dominion property, he said. She's not property, I replied before I could stop myself. A ripple of amusement passed through the chamber. She is incomplete, the overseer said, and therefore expendable. But you are curious. He leaned closer. You possess functional visual organs. I felt a chill. We have studied your species, he continued. Your optic system is crude, limited, but adaptable, portable. My mouth went dry. You want to experiment, I said. We want to correct an error, he replied. Transfer vision. Permanently. I laughed, sharp and hollow. You can't just. We can, he interrupted. And we will. The question is whether you will consent. They showed me the alternative. SARA's termination order. Blind Varelians were considered genetic dead ends. She had been kept alive only as a curiosity for off-world delegates. A joke that had worn thin. They will recycle her biomass within the cycle, the overseer said calmly. I thought of her smile. Of the way she hummed to navigate cruelty. What happens to me? I asked. You will lose your sight, he said. Completely. Irreversibly. Silence stretched between us. Humans fear blindness the way children fear the dark. I imagined never seeing the stars again. Never seeing my own hands. But then I imagined her world. Endless darkness. Mockery. Pain. I want to speak to her, I said. They allowed it, confident. Zara sat alone in a containment chamber when I entered. She turned her head instantly, sensing me. You sound kind, she said. I swallowed. They want to give you my vision. She tilted her head. What is vision? The question shattered me. It's light, I said. Color. Distance. Faces. Do you need it to be you? She asked softly. Yes, I whispered. She smiled gently. Then do not give it away. I laughed bitterly. They'll kill you if I don't. Her smile faded. Then I will die as I lived, she said. Whole. Something inside me screamed. What if? I said slowly. What if seeing could change everything for you? What if you could show them you're not broken? She reached out again, stopping just short of touching me. I do not need sight to know cruelty, she said. But I would like to know beauty. I made my decision. The procedure took place in the old medical wing, abandoned after the station upgraded to automated healing vats. The irony wasn't lost on me. They strapped me into the chair, cold restraints biting into my wrists. Across from me, Ara sat trembling, her crystalline skin dim with fear. The machine loomed between us, a web of neural filaments and glowing lenses. Forbidden technology. Lost science. Stolen from 100 species. The overseer watched through a barrier. Begin transfer, he commanded. Pain unlike anything I'd known exploded behind my eyes. Light fractured, stretched, screamed. I felt my vision pulled, ripped, from me like a living thing. I heard myself scream. Then nothing. Darkness swallowed the universe. I thought I was dead. But then I heard her gasp. A sound of pure, unfiltered awe. Oh, Lizard, breathe. Oh, it's so loud. She laughed. She cried. I lay blind and shaking, my world reduced to sound and memory. Do you see? I asked hoarsely. Yes, she whispered. I see you. The room erupted in chaos. The overseer staggered back, stunned. Vera stood unsteadily, eyes blazing with reflected light. She looked around, really looked, and something ancient awakened in her gaze. This is wrong, she said, voice steady. All of it. None of us were prepared for the truth. Vision for a Varelian wasn't just perception. It was authority. Her sight unlocked dormant genetic protocols, royal markers suppressed for generations. She wasn't defective. She was heir. Alarms blared across Station Helios as systems realigned to her presence. Doors opened. Drones powered down. The overseer fell to his knees. My empress, he whispered. I lay forgotten on the floor, blind, bleeding, smiling through the pain. They tried to give my sight back later. She refused. It was a gift, she said. And gifts are not reclaimed. She ruled for years after that, dismantling the Dominion's cruelty from within. Ending the mockery. Ending the cages. Sometimes she visited me. She described the stars. The colors of nebulae. The curve of her smile. I never saw again. But I had never been more certain of what I'd done. Because long after the laughter stopped, long after the station changed, one truth remained clear even in the dark. I gave her my vision. And in doing so, I finally saw the universe for what it was worth.